Hello. Okay. This is my first ever Facebook Live. I'm hoping the sound works. We'll give everyone a second or two to join. So thank you for spending some time with me this afternoon. And I might be a little rocky offhand, uh, but everyone's got to start somewhere. And this is one of these things where I advise my clients and Sociality Squared's clients all the time to do Facebook Live video. So jumping in and doing it myself. Okay, so I got the thumbs up that the audio works. So if you're new to Sociality Squared, we are a full service social media agency. I'm based in New York City, but we've actually been operating as a virtual team, a distributed team since day one for 10 years. And we have a great blog post that Christy on our team wrote, our series, if you want to check that out, on some of the tips and lessons that we've learned, and you can find that on our blog. But thank you so much for joining today. I appreciate your time and spend it here. I'm Helen Todd. I own Sociality Squared. I'm the co-founder, CEO, and at Sociality Squared, we help people connect to what they value and love. Mostly clients hire us to kind of act as their outsourced social media team. We augment what they do, from social media strategy to content creation to community management, influencer management, social ads, the whole 9 yards. We're kind of like the Swiss Army knife of social media services, you could say. So today has been a busy day. This morning we released our monthly newsletter, and for my first ever Facebook Live, I just kind of wanted I'm calling it the director's cut version of what is in the newsletter. Because the newsletter, it's part of our S2 Access, where we have a lot of expertise and specialty, and it's one way for us to share that. We also share it on our blog and when we host events. Some of our other pillars are the S2 Exchange, where we bring people together to have a great exchange of ideas. When we do meet in person again, when we're out of this COVID craziness, we bring people from all different backgrounds and just diversity of thought together to really do a deep dive into whatever topic that we're exploring. And then also on stage, like exchange of ideas on panels. Unfortunately, I was supposed to speak at South by Southwest this year, but that also got postponed. So we have our S2 Access, which is our newsletter, our S2 Exchange, which is exchange of ideas, and then Sociality Squared, which is our social services, which is at the core of our day-to-day, what we do. If you haven't signed up for the newsletter, I highly encourage you to do so. It's on the website, where you can just go to socialitysquared.com, click the connect button, and then find subscribe and on the newsletter right there. I'm going to be doing these weekly. Moving forward, they're going to be 7:30 a.m. every Thursday morning. And if there are any questions, I'll get to those at the end. And I have no idea how long this will take, so we'll see. So let me go ahead. This is actually the first time I have ever printed the newsletter. I've only seen it in digital form. But yeah, last month's newsletter was the first time that I was publishing under quarantine, and it just seems like everything is moving so quickly. And I said this last month, and it's how I started this month too, is I don't know what the right words are, and if there are words that really do encapsulate what we're going through right now. And we've just, especially all around the world and in New York City and in the US, we've just said goodbye to too many people that we shouldn't be. So my heart goes out to everyone who's been impacted by this, and my heart is with your heart. Anyway, but it's all something that we're adjusting to and dealing with in our own ways. That said, this month's newsletter is called, or we do a monthly theme for every newsletter. This month's theme is silver linings, and even though we're in this like unprecedented time of the world just being, stuck at home, and our healthcare workers on the front lines, there's been so many amazing silver linings to emerge, and that has offered, I know, everyone on the team and me so much inspiration. Personally, I mentioned this in the newsletter, like my family, my extended family on my mom's side, we're doing almost like weekly game nights. And this is family that, we like each other's posts on Facebook and whatnot, but that I would normally only see on big trips or the holidays. So I'm personally staying connected more with them. We're doing virtual game nights. You're seeing DJs and artists from all around the world like share their content on a regular basis, and into people's homes through Instagram. You have people that are like putting themselves out there. Christy, who's on the team, launched her own YouTube channel to share what she's now officially a yoga trainer. So proud of her. Amel, who's a dear friend and has a podcast and her own company called Tandem Nomads. She just did a great webinar saying, now is not the time to hide from your businesses, pivot, embrace digital. We had our client, Julie Bauke from the Bauke Group, do her Facebook Live video yesterday. So I've just been so inspired to see everyone put themselves out there. And even though Sociality Squared, we're usually behind the camera and working with influencers and our clients on going live, I just felt inspired to like, you know what? I probably did not prep enough for this. It's been a busy day getting the newsletter out. We just went over a report, a quarterly report with a client, but I'm just going to do it. And it's not going to be perfect, but I'm glad that you're here with me today. So, and with our clients, I just want to kind of quickly touch on this. I'll touch on this more. Well, actually, we'll just dive in. For our client, the Leica Society, we love the Leica Society. We've been working with so we helped launch Leica Camera, and we worked as their agency of record for 5.5 years. And I'm as an agency owner, I'm not supposed to have favorite clients, but they were one of my original babies when we launched the company back in 2010. And one of the joys about working with Leica is just to meet so many incredible photographers. And that's really one of the joys about being in social media and working with clients, is just getting to meet so many amazing people, and building connections. So because of our relationship with Leica Camera, we came to know the Leica Society, and we've been working with the Leica Society for over 4 years. And I actually went back and checked some of our early strategies and suggestions when we were first getting to know them. And this is a members organization, and they were really wanting to get, modernized, embrace digital, engage their communities, and reach a younger audience. So they reached out to us for our help. And we helped with social media. And from our early reports and strategy suggestions, we have been nudging them and encouraging them, like, you have so much great content. They have so much of a knowledge base, like among their members. You have members on their board and members in the Leica Society who have literally written books and books and books on Leica Camera, to take some of that content and bring it to their international audience and bring it online. And it took the coronavirus, I say that, with lots of love, to actually kind of be a kick in the butt to do their first online webinar. Right now in May, we should be planning for their spring shoot, which had to be canceled, unfortunately. But this was, we've now helped them, and we just helped. This was largely, they were very willing to jump in and dive in. And their first ever webinar in a series now that's going to be every other week had over 200 people from all around the world, from Ireland and South America, and that probably wouldn't have been able to come to the spring shoot. And now they're able to really engage in the Leica Society in a new way, and it was just so good to see. And if you see any of our social posts, you'll see a screenshot of just all the people listening to Brad as he introduces how to edit in Lightroom. And in a few weeks, I'll actually be doing an Instagram 101 for the members too. So just really, really excited to see that. And then the $1 Million Women Summit is actually launching tonight and tomorrow. I am on the leadership council of this. And this is an organization that was founded by Julia Pimsleur. I'm a big, big fan of, because her main goal is to really help women scale and grow their companies to really reach financial equity as the next level of equity that we haven't fully achieved yet. And as a woman, female business owner, I definitely support that. I'm always looking for ways to grow my own company. And as the Leadership Council, goodness, we've been probably working on the summit for about 10 months. And we were supposed to be an in-person summit at the Microsoft Center here in New York City. And then the coronavirus happened. And this is, I forget when we made the official decision, but South by Southwest was March and it canceled. And then, a week or two after that, it just seemed time is actually kind of starting to blur a little bit. But every major conference was canceled, from Facebook's F8 to the Fancy Food Show. I mean, just they're all, canceling. And the $1 Million Women Summit made like a really key decision, say our community needs us. We're kind of pioneers, and we're going to completely pivot and bring this conference online. And so even though like Sociality Squared, we've been working digitally, very comfortable with the digital space, I feel like through the summit, we're all becoming way more Zoom experts than I ever thought I would. But it's been really amazing to see just the transformation and embrace of all these new ways to connect online. So tonight, the $1 Million Women Summit is kicking off. There's going to be mentorship. It's all happening on Zoom, and using all the amazing Zoom features from the breakout rooms for more personalized networking. There's going to be interactive workshops tomorrow. We're going to be taking Zoom selfies. And one cool thing that I actually really like, and I'll write about this later, although Christy has given me strict orders that I have to finish the one blog post that I'm going to be talking about next week before I write or come up with any other ideas. But they actually, at first I was like, they shouldn't be spending money on this. But I really love that they did. So if for everyone who registered for the conference before, like April 13th or 15th or something, got mailed one of these. So we still have a physical object that we're going to do cheers. And it's been really great to see from, putting on my social media marketer standpoint, people have been unboxing and taking selfies. And I expect to see a whole lot more selfies and photos of our tumblers. And I got RBGs, which I'm very excited about and to share in the cheers later tonight. So it's been really wonderful to be able to be on the Leadership Council and help them pivot to an online conference. Okay, so I already talked about the Leica Society, and we love them and are so excited for them for their new series. One thing that we put in our monthly newsletter, which I'm slightly biased, but I love and highly recommend everyone sign up for, are articles that we're reading and like trends that we're seeing, and just kind of putting together a list of those. In one really interesting report that launched this week was Mary Meeker, who's famous for her Internet Trends Report, and she dropped a brand new one on the coronavirus trends report. And I still haven't read it word for word. I haven't had time, but one of the interesting things, at least from my standpoint, because it covers a lot of things from like the scientists are getting more seats at the table. We're all, even people who've worked from home are finding new work-life balances. I'm used to leaving my apartment. I can't do that anymore. and the marriage between technology and healthcare. But for me, one of the things that stood out is just the acceleration of embracing digital. And like I just mentioned, through the Leica Society, through the $1 Million Women Summit. I mean, there's new companies popping up. One of my favorite is Icebreaker Video, which is kind of more of a fun, lighthearted game to network. And you're seeing, I had a friend actually that I haven't talked to in like nine years reach out to me, who's a piano teacher, and he's always done it in person, and now he's teaching his students digitally. I'm not sure if it's through Zoom or another video conferencing tool or streaming tool. But now he's like, I can now teach students in other time zones in Europe when my regular students are in their class, or a little bit later in the evening is perfect for the Pacific time zone. And he's really excited and reinventing his business to teach students beyond where he's located. So I'm seeing it, and I just recently joined Elevate New York City, which has like 100 people from all different backgrounds, with makeup artists and acupuncturists, and everyone is just kind of embracing digital and rethinking ways of what they can offer their clients. So that part to me is really exciting. And I think it will be really interesting to see what after. I hate to say the word like we return to normal, because I think the normal that we knew, I'm not sure what the new normal is going to look like when we're able to get out of our homes in a more safe and complete way is going to look like. But I do think a lot of these trends of companies who've embraced digital, that will continue. The companies working from home and saving money and will probably continue. If not like more flex schedules of working in the office and at home. So yeah, we're still kind of in the middle of it, and people are still trying to figure it out. But I think whenever we come to the new normal, we're going to see a lot of this acceleration that's happening carry over, and I'm really curious what that's going to look like. Another thing that happened this week that I want to point out is the Duke and Duchess of Sussex, since we can't say Prince Harry and Meghan Markle anymore, is that they, dropped their royal titles, except for the Duke and Duchess of Sussex. On this past Sunday, on the 19th, they wrote a letter to 4 British publications. And that letter, I don't have it printed in front of me, or I would read some excerpts for you, is so good. I highly recommend that you read it. It basically says, we're not going to work with you anymore. We believe in free press. We let people criticize us. We believe in the power of the free press, the need for it. But if it's based on lies, we can't support it, and they're in any capacity aren't going to engage with these publications anymore. And then they made a point to say, this doesn't mean all press. We're certainly going to engage press. We're going to do our part to highlight up and coming voices and journalists and local press, because it's so needed at this time. And it was so well written, and such a powerful message on the need for press, that I really am very inspired by it as well, and encourage you to read the full letter, because it's very powerful, and I just applaud them so much. And I don't know if it's actually going to be a watershed moment for a shift in. There's so much media manipulation and sensationalization. God, I can't even say it. Sensationalized, playing to those algorithms and all of that stuff. That I really hope that this is maybe marks a turning point in that. And we're seeing a lot of other things on this front. And I didn't put this in the newsletter, but I'm going to go off on a little rant. Someone asked me the other day what they think of Twitter, if Twitter is going to be around. And I honestly think what they're doing with allowing the bots and these fake accounts is going to be the same as like spam and porn to MySpace. That it's really, there's a place for Twitter, but if they don't get rid of those, it's a real horrible problem that they have of you're having like one thing that just shocked me. What was that last week? I think, again, my timeline's kind of blurring a little bit, that you have in the middle of this pandemic, that Fauci said something at a press conference that wasn't taken well to the powers that be. And the hashtag Fire Fauci was trending, and it got traced back to a Russian account and Russian troll farms, and it got trending in the US. Like, how are we in 2020 and having a hashtag that has bad intent and bad actors behind it being amplified to the point that it is trending? That is a platform issue that can be solved. And I think they're, even though, all of these platforms are doing really good stuff right now in terms of donations and making information available and finally working together on a cross-platform and identifying some of these. But I just, that was horrible. And I think they're going to have to change, or we can't continue like this. And you're seeing new platforms emerge, like Voice, Wiki Tribune, to really like address these issues. So anyway, I'll stop that rant right now, because I will continue maybe for another another one of my live videos down the line. Lots of other good articles. Julie Balke, which is a client of ours, just got a piece published in the Cincinnati Business Courier. And anyone who's in a leadership position that's having to lay off people, it is so hard, but it's so key to make sure that you're human. And her article is really good. Amy Crowley, who's on our team, helped write it and pitch it. But it really, one of the points that stood out to me in her article is how people are laid off now will dictate, part of the brand, and when things pick back up, who they're going to hire. It's like moments when there's crises that the character really comes out, and you have to, no matter what, treat people like people, and with respect and with communication, and call them and not email them. And her article just did a really, really good job of something that we say at Socialite Squared all the time, like behind every screen is a person. Like, it's people. And, in a crisis, we can't forget that at all. So I highly recommend that article too. This was kind of funny. So Christy helps pull in a lot of the links. I should probably blog more on Medium, but one of my posts that are up there is like the death of Snapchat. But interestingly, or not too surprising, because we're all at home spending a lot more time on social, that they actually have seen a bump in users and revenue. So I might have to rethink the next blog post that I write about Snapchat, but I'm honestly not holding my breath for the long term. Let's see if there's any other ones that I wanted. Oh, this was kind of interesting by Wired. And the editor of Wired, I'm forgetting his name right now, Thompson. Anyway, he does daily little video clips on LinkedIn. I highly recommend. He does great content. But the influencer economy hurdles towards its first recession. Budgets are drying up. People are being more conservative with their spending, and it's hitting the influencer economy too. I think in the big scheme of things, influencers are going to be around for a long time. This is just a bump, but also kind of interesting. Like, this thing is hitting every corner of society in so many different ways, and influencers too. Something that's also kind of interesting, I have a cousin-in-law, I guess you could say, a second cousin-in-law, who is an agent for models for a big modeling agency here in New York. And I was talking to her over the weekend, and she was so funny. She was like, literally, my job is the least important job on the planet. But models are now starting to take photographs of themselves in order to get shoots done for brands instead of bringing in photographers. So that was kind of interesting in seeing like models are influencers, but that blurred line between professional models and your make it from home influencers that have really made name for themselves. I think that line is really blurring, and we'll probably see a continued blur. And I love photographers. I support photographers. I'm very much a amateur photographer. I think there will always be a need for photography and the photography industry, but her story also really does, kind of worry me about the need for photographers if, models are shooting themselves too. So something to keep an eye on. But we're going to bounce out of this, and I think the influencer economy will be just as strong once everything gets back to whatever the new normal looks like. Okay, and then the last piece I just wanted to mention on today's call. So we always leave an inspiration section in the newsletter. We gobble up all different types of things, from podcasts to following our own influencers, and get inspiration from so many different places, museums. We featured so many different people and books in our inspiration section over the years that we've had the newsletter. And this year, or for this month, we're featuring in our inspiration section Ted Grant. And he recently passed away. And if you don't know Ted Grant, it's a nice little tribute that I wrote up for it. But he's considered the father of Canadian photojournalism. And I had such an honor and privilege to get to meet him. I had to dig through my emails. I first engaged with him in 2011 for a blog post that Jason Schneider actually conducted over the phone, and then we wrote up for the Like a Camera blog. And then a few years ago, I got to meet him in person for a few video interviews that we did for the Leica Society. And he is just the really, truly, like, just the sweetest, warmest guy I have ever met. And even in his emails, he has all these little smiley faces, and he always called me like, my dear Helen. And it's such a, so it's so sad. We're saying goodbye to so many people. And one of the things I shared in the post and in the tribute is, not only is he like an amazing photographer, and he did a lot of work of taking photographs of doctors and in the surgery room, and given today how so many healthcare workers are on the front lines, the images almost seem more poignant than ever. But in addition to his amazing photography, he also was just, what my sister-in-law said, he sounds like a badass, and he was. I had to look up the years, but for his 65th birthday, he like went skydiving, and then for his 76th birthday, he somehow, I forget the story, how he was able to wrangle it, but we have all the audio files, but he had this fighter plane where he flipped over and took a selfie when he was upside down, which is amazing. And he invited me to his 100th birthday, where he wanted to throw the biggest party and then just say goodbye. So he didn't make it to 100, but he's truly, truly an amazing soul, and his legacy and spirit will live in his photography and in our hearts. So if you get a chance, read the tribute, the interview that Jason did on the Like a Camera blog. We've linked to it. Is really beautiful. And then the 2 video, we actually, when we did the interview, he had to, we were talking for like 3 hours, and I think we could have just kept on talking and talking. So we had to like figure out how to condense it. So it's a 1 5-minute interview, which is what we usually do for the Leica Society. We did a second one that's 20 minutes. That's more about his living, the title at the time, or still is, Ted Grant, A Living Legacy. So watch that, and I'll leave you a quote that he kind of embraced and was kind of famous for saying after a while. Oops, if I can find it. Okay, and it's just so cute. Real photographers shoot black and white, eat sushi, and drink single mach scotch. Not necessarily in that order, but it works very well. So, Ted Grant. Okay, so that wraps it up, and it's been almost an hour of me talking. So if you're still with us, thank you so much. Really appreciate your time. And if you haven't subscribed to our monthly newsletter, please do. I'd love feedback if you like the director's cut commentary on it. I'm also going to be doing this live video series moving forward every Thursday morning at 7:30 a.m. Next week, we are going to get out the blog post so Christy doesn't kill me. The topic that we're doing is the long view of content communication and the coronavirus. There's been a lot of posts right now on, how to pivot, and we're going to talk about some of the short-term things. If you're not already, or could use a couple extra tips, but also like what is the long-term view, and what do your values as a brand mean? And everything's being kind of pressure tested today. So tune back in next week for that. And of course, I have to plug our social media channels, but definitely sign up for the newsletter and follow us on social. And I'm also active as Helen's Travels on Instagram and Twitter, and Helen Todd on LinkedIn. But visit socialitysquared.com. If you're watching this on Facebook, you'll see you can click through the icon and like and find everything too. I didn't check if we got any questions, but I don't see any right this second. So I'll just sign off, but thank you so much for joining, and I look forward to seeing you next week as well. Okay, thank you. And stay well, stay safe, and stay home. Okay.